So for part A here, if you were given this question on an exam, they would have it written this way. Solve for n algebraically. So they don't want you just to guess and check. You could probably guess and check quite quickly if you know how the spaces work. How many spaces are there going to be? 2. What number has to go first? 8, then 7. So n is equal to 8. Easy. And it's good to be able to do those guess and check or shortcut ways nicely, because then you know what the right answer should be. So we know that n is 8. But when it says solve for n algebraically, they want you to use the formula. So np2 is n factorial over n minus 2 factorial is equal to 56. Now to simplify factorials, we always expand the bigger one. So again, you're going to have to look at the n factorial on the top and the n minus 2 factorial on the bottom, and have to ask yourself which one's bigger. And in this case, the n is bigger. Also to notice that we cancel out factorials when they're written in a fraction, because I've seen this same question start off looking like this, with the factorials on different sides of the equation. And then you would have to divide both sides by n minus 2 factorial to get it looking like this. Because the way that you get rid of a factorial is by expanding and canceling out. And you expand the bigger one. In this case, the bigger one is n, so we'd have n times n minus 1. And we keep going down until we get to the one that's on the bottom, which is the n minus 2 factorial, because then they'll cancel out. This is still equal to 56. So after they've canceled out, now we're left with, if I distribute this, n squared minus n equals 56. What kind of equation is this? Stupid equation. It's quadratic. So we have to make it equal to 0. And factor it, and we get 2 answers, whereas our guess and check method only gave us 1 answer. But what do we know about factorials of negatives? They do not work. So we have to put an x through that one. That one's extraneous. And the only answer is n equals 8. So you will get some questions that they will ask you to solve for them algebraically. You will also get some questions that they won't ask you to solve for them algebraically, because there isn't a good algebraic method to do it. And that's what happens in part B. Part B I guess I could probably invent something somewhat algebraic to do part B. But part B says 5pr is equal to 20. And if r is the number of spaces, and it has to equal 20, is 1 space enough? No. Is 2 spaces enough? Yeah. So r is equal to 2. I guess if you tried to do this algebraically, you would say 5 factorial on the top, 5 minus r factorial on the bottom equals 20. And then you would have 5 times 5 minus 1 times 5 minus 2 I don't know if that is algebraic or not. It's kind of the same thing, kind of more confusing than it's worth. But the only way you can get it to equal 20 is if it cancels out at this point, right? Because then I have 5 times 4 on the top. Then r would have to equal 2. But for questions like B, usually they allow you just to guess and check. And if you know that r is the number of spaces, this is a much simpler, easier technique to use. Okay, question number 10. And the tree question. You've got a tree? Didn't give you too much of a... No, it's close. It's the same sound to start with. Oh, that's a hint. No headaches yet? Have you heard of a sequoia? There we go. Here's your next puzzle. You have to think of an English word that starts with he, ends with he, isn't he, or he, or he, or any derivation of that. But an English word that starts with he, ends with he. And to make it worse, I've said the word in the last minute. So if you don't figure it out, you just have to watch the video and loop it over and over again.